Did your brain just break a little? Good. Because we're about to dive into exactly why that happens. You see, optical illusions aren't just fun tricks you find online. They're fascinating windows into how our brains build our reality. Today, we're going to pull back the curtain and uncover the hidden mechanisms that make your brain a willing and even eager participant in these amazing visual cons. So, get ready to question everything you see. Let's start with a surprising fact. Our brains are incredible, but they're also incredibly lazy. To process the massive amount of information bombarding us every second, our brain takes shortcuts. These mental shortcuts, called heuristics, are essential for us to function efficiently. They help us make sense of the world quickly without having to analyze every single detail. But this efficiency comes at a cost. Take the famous Müller-Lyer. You see two lines, one with arrowheads pointing in, the other pointing out. Which one looks longer? Most people will say the one with the outward pointing arrows. But in reality, they're the exact same length. Why does this happen? Our brain has a built-in shortcut for interpreting depth. We're used to seeing corners in three-dimensional space. The line with inward-pointing arrows looks like the near corner of a room, while the line with outward-pointing arrows looks like the far corner of a building. Our brain applies this real-world logic, assumes the farther line must be bigger, and adjusts our perception accordingly. It's an automatic process. Another great example is the Ponzo illusion. You see two identical lines placed over a pair of converging lines, like a railroad track disappearing into the distance. The top line almost always looks longer. Again, our brain's shortcut for linear perspective kicks in. It assumes that since the top line appears farther down the track, it must be larger in real life to cast an image of that size on our retina. It's a logical assumption, but in the context of the 2D image, it's wrong. These shortcuts aren't just for illusions. They're running in the background constantly, helping you judge distances and navigate your environment every single day, usually without you even noticing. But it gets even weirder. Our brains aren't just taking shortcuts. They're actively making stuff up. Your eyes only capture a fraction of the information that's actually out there. Think about your blind spot. There's a literal hole in your vision that your brain just fills in it. Patches the hole with what it expects to see based on the surrounding environment. This filling in the blanks process is a fundamental part of perception. Our brain hates uncertainty and ambiguity, so it works tirelessly to create a stable, complete picture of the world, even if it has to invent some of the details. This is perfectly demonstrated by ambiguous figures. Look at the Necker cube. Is the front face on the bottom left or the top right? You can probably see it both ways, and your perception might even flip back and forth. There's not enough information in the simple line drawing for your brain to be sure, so it presents you with both possible interpretations. It's trying to impose order on an ambiguous stimulus. The same thing happens with Rubin's vase. Do you see a vase, or do you see two faces looking at each other? Your brain can't see both at the same time. It has to choose one interpretation over the other. This is called top-down processing. What you perceive isn't just based on the raw data coming from your eyes. It's heavily influenced by your past experiences, your expectations, and your knowledge of the world. Your brain is constantly guessing what it's seeing. So, we have a lazy brain taking shortcuts and a creative brain filling in the gaps. But there's another layer. The very wiring of our visual system has quirks that can be exploited. The journey of an image from your eye to your brain is complex. Light hits your retina, signals are sent down the optic nerve, and they're processed in different areas of the brain's visual cortex, which handle things like color, motion, and edges. Illusions can target vulnerabilities at each of these stages. Consider the famous chessboard shadow illusion. You have a checkerboard with a green cylinder casting a shadow over some of the squares. Two squares, labeled A and B, look like they are completely different shades of gray. A looks dark, and B looks light. But if you isolate those two squares, you'll see they are the exact same color. What's going on? First, your brain's color constancy mechanism automatically adjusts for the shadow. It knows that surfaces in a shadow appear darker, so it brightens square B in your perception to compensate. Second, the surrounding squares influence how you see the color. Square B is surrounded by darker squares, making it appear lighter by comparison, a phenomenon known as lateral inhibition. Your brain is having an internal debate and is making its best guess based on context. But that guess is wrong. Then you have illusions like the spinning dancer. Is she spinning clockwise or counterclockwise? It's a silhouette, so there are no depth cues. Your brain has to make a choice, and what you see can actually be influenced by which hemisphere of your brain is more dominant at that moment. All these examples show that what we perceive isn't a direct photograph of reality. It's a reconstruction, a best guess created by our brain, based on incomplete data, past experiences, and built-in processing rules. So, the next time you're stumped by an optical illusion, don't just feel tricked. Take a moment to appreciate what's really happening. These visual puzzles aren't just for entertainment. They are invaluable tools for neuroscientists and psychologists. They help us map the architecture of the brain and understand the complex, often non-intuitive, processes behind perception. They prove that our personal reality is ultimately a construction of our mind. What you see and what I see might be fundamentally different because our brains have different experiences to draw from. Next time you see an illusion, don't just be amazed. Think about the incredible, complex, and sometimes fallible machinery inside your head that's making it all happen. It's a humbling reminder that seeing isn't always believing. If you want to learn more about the incredible ways your brain shapes your world, make sure to subscribe and stay tuned. Thanks for watching.